Testing. Like, how's the voice tone? Testing.
I can't tell.
Okay, well, I'll do as much as I can, actually.
I was diagnosed with Asperger's, but I wasn't diagnosed until I was 14. I got a bunch of misdiagnoses in my childhood.
To use a really old cliche, it's like looking through rose-colored glasses, just because it makes life a little more difficult when you're trying to go through the world as somebody who has autism.
I may not technically be the perfect definition of what Asperger's necessarily is, but I try to do my best to accept that, yes, I may have it, but I have no shame in admitting it.
Sometimes, I'm a very task-oriented person, which means I cannot multitask.
I see.
And sometimes I'm just so in the moment, like with whatever task I'm doing, I don't realize the other stuff that's going on around me.
Try not to speak so much because of the risk of saying something embarrassing or anything. When people are talking about some subject I don't know what they're talking about. It's kind of hard. Actually, really hard.
I really feel like I'm never fully on the same page with the people around me. I'll be just having a discussion with someone that I feel like is just a normal discussion, and I feel like I'm talking normal, but just out of the blue, someone will say, all right, no need to shout.
I did try to accomplish having friends when I was younger, that sort of thing. I mean, I was able to make a decent conversation with the kids my age where I went to school at, but I was more comfortable being around adults and that sort of thing.
Some of the challenges that I face used to include social interaction. I know when I was younger that was my main problem. Mainly it's just trying to keep up with everyone else, despite the fact that I know physically I wouldn't be able to do that. So it's trying to appear normal when you know you're not.
I'm trying to find a job right now, and unfortunately, as much as people like to deny it, there's still people who disrespect people with any type of disability, really. So kind of my chances of finding a part-time job, even something as simple as just working at McDonald's or something like that, it might be diminished because of this.
Well, it's actually allowed me to be a lot more creative than most people would realize, just because with autism, I can explore solutions that are outside of what people accept as being the norm.
Interaction design was very more in line with my interests than anything else. The thing is, I really enjoy Sheridan as a facility. I really enjoy the students here because, in comparison to high school or elementary school, I can make a decent conversation with people with interests I can actually relate to.
Sometimes I usually get some support from the school.
Face it, it's an amazing support group, and I never had that at anywhere else I've gone to except for maybe high school. And so by having a support group here, I've actually been able to accomplish a lot more, open up a lot more, and actually volunteer for things I never thought I would do.
I guess it's not like there's too much I can describe about it. I guess that's sort of the whole point behind it. It was very, very shy and introverted and secluded kind of environment that I always naturally tend to put myself in because it was just the most comfortable. I guess it was the most that I understood. And yeah, with that came quite a bit of separation from other things going around me, including my own immediate family and especially if functions came around and everyone else could be around a table talking. I'm usually the one in a completely separate room, just occupying myself in my own time. And it's still the kind of thing that never dawned on me to really interact with anyone else anyway, just kept to myself.
We weren't totally surprised because from the ages of being born, from being born to 3 years, he was very, very quiet, very much to himself. And the information that we got and research and in and out of Sick Kids Hospital with the specialists over there, they were basically telling us that, you know, your son will have some difficulties, but we don't know to what extent. When he was a little guy and he was with other kids his age, he would always be to the side. He would always play by himself, which is very typical of autistic behavior. There were some concerns, obviously, because you want your kid to interact and be like all the other kids, you know, and at times I couldn't figure out why he wasn't getting better and better and better, and sometimes you sort of you think to yourself, well, this is just a phase he's going through, because there'll be a point when he'll just pop out of it and he'll just be like everybody else, but you can't think like that, because it is a disability that he has, and it will be with him. So the one thing we tried to do was we made him aware of his own disability. Like, we tried to not sugarcoat it. This is the situation we have, and this is what we have to deal with.
The transition between school and work, suddenly I just found myself, it was as if I was a different kind of a person. I was doing all kinds of the conversating. I could still keep to myself. I guess that's still a preference of mine, that I like working on my hobbies myself in my room or anything like that, but I'm also not at all afraid to be among other people, conversing and try to be pretty participative and maybe sometimes outspoken, witty, comic.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, jingle bells.
Most people who suffer with Asperger's, autism, whatever varying levels, usually there's a certain focus towards certain interests, I guess, that you have, and whatever those couple things are, you become very interested and focused in them.
He's a really dedicated kid. Like, he's really, really dedicated. And when he puts, even till this day, when he puts something in front of him, he goes to the fullest extent. He takes it on like it's the most important thing in his life. And that's the effort he puts into it, which is great.
I think the answer I have kind of applies to not just autism, but really anyone who figures they have some sort of condition or setback. You figure out your own self, because no one else is able to do that for you. You work with what you have, and you just don't give up with what it is that you feel you can offer, what skills you have, what interests, what advantages, what strengths you do have. You just work with it and see what comes from that. You'll certainly never know unless you actually try. And I figure with my own self, at least for me, I'm the greatest example I know of. I think with enough interest you have in whatever that is, and with enough passion, you can, cliche as it sounds, you can really kind of do whatever you want to do. There's nothing really in front of you holding you back. I don't believe that.